get started. And so again, my name is Garland Thomas. I am Assistant Director for the statewide team with the Neighborhood Revitalization Unit. We work out of Baltimore, and we administer the State Revitalization Program awards. And so I want to give an opportunity for the statewide team to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Jessica Argueta.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jessica Argueta, and I am the Regional Project Manager for Central Maryland.
I think I saw Maria.
Hello, I'm Maria Magrides, and I am the Project Manager for the Eastern Shore.
Sarah out there?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my laptop camera does not want to work all of a sudden. Hi, I'm Sarah Jackson. I'm the project manager for Region 5, which is Western Maryland.
Fantastic. And Jean?
Hello, I'm Jean Cannon, and I'm the program officer for the statewide team. And my region includes Prince George's County and Southern Maryland.
Fantastic. We also have a couple other NR team members, Team 2 members out there. I want to let them introduce themselves, starting with Larry.
Thanks, Garland. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. My name is Larry Brown. I'm the Assistant Director for the Baltimore region.
Hi, good afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
hi, everybody. My name is Olivia Checkerly-McGonigal. I'm Assistant Director for Policy Planning and Preservation for State Revitalization Programs. Thanks.
Fantastic. Take us on Alex.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra Laham. I am a project manager on the Policy Preservation and Planning team, and I support data collection and management, and we'll get to that in a bit with the project impact data sheet.
Fantastic. I saw Aisha as well.
Hello, my name is Aisha Jennings. I am a systems administrator for the DHCD portal. I'm also a data analyst, and I am here for support. Thanks.
Fantastic. Any other Team 2 members maybe I didn't get to? No?
Yeah, this is Tynan.
Yes,
hi, everyone.
Tynan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tynan Stevenson. I'm the program manager for the Sustainable Communities Program.
Fantastic. Anyone else? All right. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Aaron?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Erin Lavitt, project manager for Southwest Baltimore City and County, plus Northern and Earl County.
Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Rachel Elliott. I am the project manager for the Community Investment Tax Credit Program in Endow, Maryland.
I'm not going to speak until everybody else speaks. Anyone else? Going once, going twice, Ferris Bueller. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. And so just want to kind of go over our agenda for the day. We are recording the webinar, and we're going to have the webinar and the presentation available to you after this workshop. We had one earlier this morning at 10. This is our second one. This is more so for the statewide awardees. Normally, we post this on our website, and so we'll make it available on our website in the next several days. And you can always follow up with your project manager. They'll be able to share some information with you as well. And so we're going to kind of cover 3 areas in the presentation today. We're going to talk about State Revitalization Program eligibility and requirements. We're going to talk about the award agreement, the process of it, and how we draft and go through that, and what your part you play in it in terms of execution of the award. Then we're going to pause. Well, actually, we're going to pause for some question and answer session right after that. And then we're going to go into award management. And so we're going to talk about the award life cycle, what are some expectations for the awardee, and things that we also do as well. We're going to talk about some policy topics, and we're going to end there with some questions and answers as well. Now, if you do have a question during the parts that we are talking, you can definitely put it in the chat box. and we will answer it during the question and answer periods. All right, and so the Division of Neighborhood Revitalization, we work with local partners to bring investment and vitality to Maryland's core communities. And so how do we do that? We do that by offering a range of loan and grant opportunities and technical assistance programs to local governments, nonprofit organizations, community development corporations or organizations, and small business. As mentioned, our project managers cover the entire region of the state. And so our statewide team for Western Maryland, which is Garrett, Allegheny, Washington, Frederick, and Carroll counties, that's covered by Sarah Jackson. For our Region 8 counties, Hartford, Baltimore, Howard, Anne Arundel, and Montgomery County, those counties are covered by Jessica Argueta. For our Southern Maryland region, which is Region 6, Prince George's, Calvert, Charles, and St. Mary's counties, those are covered by our program officer, Gene Cannon. And then the shore from Cecil, Kent, Queen Anne's, Caroline, Talbot, Dorchester, Wycomico, Somerset, and Worcester are covered by Maria. In addition, there's contact information there. Also, this can be found on our website as well in terms of the statewide regions and their contact information if you need to follow up with them. Also, we have some other staff that work very closely with us in the administration of the grant awards. Melissa Archer, she's not on the call today, but she's our historic preservation officer. If you have received funding from us before, you know that Melissa coordinates our MHT, or Maryland Historical Trust, review process. She's the person that processes that information here and works with MHT in issuing a determination on the historic impact of projects. And that's something that is required as part of our funding. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tynan, you got a chance to meet him. He coordinates our Sustainable Communities program. And so in order to receive funding from our program, a project should be located in a sustainable community. And we're going to talk about that, how you determine that. And Alexandra, or Alex, she coordinates a lot of our data collection information, and she's going to talk about our impact data sheet in a little bit as well. And so what are some of the eligibility and requirements for state revitalization programs? Now, we offer funding in two particular areas: funding that supports capital and funding that supports operation. Now, when we talk about capital, we're basically talking about bricks and sticks, land, structures, something that has a 15-year shelf life. And we have some examples listed there, like property acquisition or construction, A&E drawing, site development, rehabilitation or demonstration. And if you want to get more familiar with what we view capital projects are, or capital activities, you're more than welcome to go to the DGS guidebook to look at that, more of specific things that the state considers as capital. Now, for operating, these are costs that are associated with day-to-day operations of the program, the organization, or the business. And so staff salaries, feasibility planning and studies, marketing, maintenance. These are things that don't necessarily have a shelf life, but supports the administrative operation of an organization. So when we break down our funding sources, they kind of fit in two categories. Our capital-only programs are community legacy, strategic demolition statewide, Seed Community Development Anchor Institution Fund, or SEED, and Maryland Facade Improvement Program, or MFIP. We have one program that provides funding in both areas, Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiative, or BERNI, and the National Capital Strategic Economic Development Fund, or NED. Okay, and so that's how we delineate between the two. Capital-only projects, again, community legacy, strategic demolition, Seed Anchor Institution Fund, and MFIP, and our program that has capital and operating is Bernie, or Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiative, and the National Capital Strategic Economic Development Fund, or NED. And so, as we mentioned a little earlier, our projects must be located in a sustainable community. So how do you determine if your project is located in a sustainable community? There is a link which you would go to determine if that project address is located in a sustainable community. I wanted to give Tynan like a minute or two. Did you want to say something about sustainable communities, Tynan?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Hey, folks. Yeah, so as Garland mentioned, I highly recommend everyone check out our mapper to ensure you're located within a sustainable community. It's very easy to use. Given you've been awarded, hopefully your project should already be eligible. But if you have any questions about eligibility, or if there's been any conversation around your project eligibility, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help at any point. Thanks.
Fantastic. Yes, as Tynan said, we've already done our due diligence, and so we've kind of determined if you're receiving funding and you're on this call that your project is in the sustainable community. But we just want to make sure we go over it so you have a better understanding of it. Now, one of the most important things with our project is site control, with our funding and site control. Now, site control is that legal connection between the awardee and a particular site. Site control comes from the entity or person with legal interest in the property, meaning the property owner or the leasee, and it references the grantee. And so a lot of times what we may have is situations where you are the awardee, but you do not own the property where the work is going to be done. And so there's a process that we would need some documentation that would support that you have approval from the site owner who has site control that the funds from the state could be used for that property. And we'll talk a little bit more about evidence that we're going to need in a minute. And so proof of site control is required for any project involving acquisition, demolition, construction, or rehab. And so usually it's required at the time of the award agreement. A lot of times in the application process, you've already been able to establish site control. But before we would disperse any funds for the award, we need to also make sure if it wasn't shown or proven at the application part, that it's proven or shown or documented before any funds are dispersed. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And so what are some things that would establish evidence of site control for your project? It could be a memorandum of understanding between the awardee and the site owner. Your project managers, we use what we call a site control memo that's been approved by our Office of the Attorney General that we would provide to you to provide to the property owner to fill out, that would clearly state that you have permission to use funds for the property, or if you're already the property owner, we would just determine that through SDAT printout to show verification that you do own the property. Any lease agreements, if you're buying the property, do you have a purchase agreement already in place? If you own the property, also a copy of the HUD-1 or the closing disclosure. And for facade programs, for business application for the MFIT program, you should include evidence of site control for those programs or projects that you are going to use your facade improvement money for. And so say if you're coordinating a facade program and you have an application process, part of your application process should be securing copy of site control of those properties that you're going to allow for your for the use of the funds. Also, something that's required for our projects is Maryland Historical Trust Review, or MHT review. And historical preservation review is required for all capital projects prior to starting the work. Now, we should have underlined that and put it in bold. Prior to starting the work, you should have a MHT review and a determination. If the work is already underway or imminent, please contact your project manager as soon as possible. Our preservation officer is a stickler for this. We ask that you get a review of the project prior to starting work. If it's been reviewed by another state or federal agency in the prior fiscal year, evidence of that review may satisfy the requirement. And so we have some projects that have been funded by us over multiple years that have a MHT determination. Just make sure you check with your project manager to make sure that determination is applicable for any new funding that you're receiving. All right. And so we ask that, you don't send the request for a review directly to the trust. Melissa coordinates that whole process and we handle it in-house, and she works with MHT on submitting that information. And so when you submit for a MHT review, this is the information that you should submit to your project manager, and they will coordinate the submission with Melissa. And so we need the name of the project and the address. In the email line and subject line, we need reference to the award number of the award. We would like to have attachments of 4 pictures that are representative of the proposed project, including exterior and interior, if applicable. We want a narrative or a scope of work of the project. What are you planning to do? Any construction or conceptual plans, renderings, specifications, cost estimates, contracts. All right. And if you've already received a review from a federal agency or state agency, you can also include that information as well. Also, within the award agreement, in Exhibit A, we have a special conditions section. And in the special conditions sections, for awards that might be a combination of a loan and a grant, you may have some requirements that would be included in this section that spells out those required things that you're supposed to do as a special condition. Maybe you are purchasing a property, but you have not established site control yet. You have not gone to closing. We may have some site control requirements in there that we want a copy of the closing statement and proof that the building has been purchased. If you maybe you need to update your certificate of good standing, we would include that in the special condition section as well. And so any special conditions that are required prior to the disbursement of funds would be included in this session. So next I want to pass it to Jean. She's going to talk about the award lifecycle.
Hello, everybody. As you can see here, we have kind of a visual representation of our award life cycle. You've already made it through the first 3 stages, starting with the orange, from submitting your application, then the review period and recommendations. And now that you've been awarded FY26 funding, congratulations again. We're now working on updating your information and drafting your award agreements for execution. Once executed, we'll work with you on your active award management, both what is needed to access our funding and to meet our reporting and compliance components, and then award monitoring, and finally, at the end of your grant term, your award closeout. And next slide. As I mentioned, we're currently in the drafting stage, and once drafted, we will be sending you a copy to sign. The award agreement contains some standard language related to your specific state revitalization program, and then some specifics to your project or program outlined below. Exhibit A is going to be your project description to your specific project or program, any addresses that are included, if known at this time, special conditions. It'll reflect any adjustments to the scope as a result of potential partial funding. Exhibit B is going to contain your budget information. We're only going to use confirmed sources and required matching funding. So if you had additional at time of application, we might make some adjustments and edit some down to really just include what's confirmed and known at this time. And then Exhibit C is going to be your timeline. It must include the commencement and the completion dates. Those dates are going to include January 1st, 2026 as the start, and then June 30th, 2028 is the completion, and then 45 days later, that final report is due. It's worth mentioning for the timeline that while your total project may not be complete by June of 2028, we do expect your funds to be fully spent down. Your funds is in your funds from us. So that's what we recognize as our completion date, the completion of our portion of the funding. So if you see the standard dates don't really align with your initial application or your overall project's still going to be continuing, that's going to be why we then in turn use that 2028 date. Next slide. Okay, and something somewhat new or at least updated this year, thanks to Alex's hard work, is the project impact data sheet, and I'll turn it over to her for this slide.
Yeah, thank you, Jean. So you'll have completed the project impact data sheet as part of your application. And the instructions were when you applied to fill out this sheet based on what you were seeking to accomplish with your requested funds. So for example, if you applied for $100,000 worth of facade improvements, you might have entered your plan to improve 10 facades with those funds. Now that your application is awarded, we're going to be asking you to update your answers based on the awarded funds. So let's say you were only awarded 50,000, you might update that number to 5 facades. And your project manager, your regional project manager, will be in touch with you about this as part of the agreement drafting process. And going forward, you're also going to be expected to update your progress towards this goal of, say, 5 facades in your quarterly reports and also up until your final report. You can go to the next slide.
Okay, so again, we're back in the drafting and execution phase currently. We draft and get updates, go through an internal review and approval, send it to you to sign and return, review it again internally, and then finally get your award signed by the secretary and fully executed so you can begin accessing your funding. And in the next slide, I'll get into a little bit more detail. So right now, your regional project manager is working on drafting your award and also reaching out, as I mentioned, with any updated or additional documentation needed from you. Then we get your draft and organizational documents approved internally and updated, and then it gets sent to you via the project portal. You then have 60 days to have your authorized official sign along with a witness and return it to us. And then once that's complete, like I said, we do another internal compliance review and we reach out if there's anything needed, but then it goes to secretarial signatures and final execution so you can begin drawing on those funds, assuming that you've already met all your special conditions and MHT requirements. Next slide. Okay, so once you get that email from the project portal that your award is ready for signatures, you'll log in and download it, review everything, then the authorized official and a witness will sign and you'll upload it back into the portal and change the status so it disappears from your tasks in your home screen and goes to your PM for review. Please make sure that when you return it, you include every page, it's legible, the right person has signed it, and include, if you haven't already, your official certificate of good standing, an updated Maryland charitable registration, your corporate diversity addendum with your most recent filing, site control if we don't already have it, any other special condition items that have been mentioned or should be included in the exhibits in your award agreement. And depending on if they're applicable, if you're a CDO versus a government entity or a seed entity, those required documents might change a little bit, but you should be aware. And if you're unsure in any way, just reach out to your project manager and we can go over the exact items needed. And if not, once you return your signed award agreement, we'll be following back up to get those missing items. But the sooner you can get them to us, including your signed agreement, the faster we can move through execution. So we give you a 60-day turn time, but ideally the sooner the better. And next slide. So here you can see what it actually looks like in the portal this year. As I mentioned previously, you'll upload that signed award agreement, any relevant documentation labeled, and then you're going to save. Do not forget this step, save, 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 because if you don't, it'll disappear when you try and send it back to us. It should give you an error, but just in case, just make sure you're hitting that save button and then you'll submit the signed agreement. And if you're having issues or if you're unsure if it's sent correctly, again, just reach out to your project manager because the last thing we want is for you to think you submitted and it's with us, but on our end, it really looks like it's with you. So with the 60 days sort of ticking down, the sooner you can get it to us, the better. And it should then disappear from your My Tasks on your home screen if it's been correctly submitted. But if you're unsure, just let us know. We're happy to double check. Next slide. Okay, and now I'll kick it back over to Garland for any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Alex. Want to open it. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will answer. If you don't feel compelled to have to make up one, but I know we have some new people here that are new awardees, and a lot of you have been with us for years, and so you know this process, and so it may be old hat for you. Is a certificate of good standing required for county and local government? No, it's not. Only for nonprofit organizations. That's an easy one. Any other easy ones? All right, well, fantastic. I will take your silence as we can move forward. And so we're gonna go ahead and move forward in the presentation, keep on going, maybe something to pop up. And you don't have to wait until the Q&A to put something in the box. You can go ahead and do that while we're talking, and we'll get to it when the next time that we stop. And so I want to pass it to Jessica. She's going to talk about our awardee expectations.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this next section, we'll be talking about the awardee management. We'll be discussing active award management. That's the financial distributions, quarterly report requirements, regulatory requirements, monitoring of the active project, that's site visits, any technical assistance. We'll be going over award closeout, that's final reporting, success indicators, final monitoring, and final financial reconciliation. So the next portion is going to be a summary of your grant agreement. Also, we have additional information on our website about the awardee policy that will be explaining the same information. So what is required of the awardee? Quarterly reports are due on July 1st, October 1st, January 1st, and April 1st, while the award is active. Final reports are due within 45 days of the project completion. If your project is multi-phased, refer to the project completion as the portion that DHCD is funding. Project should be completed within 2 years of the award execution date. As Jean mentioned, for our projects this year, that'll be June 30th, 2028. We expect that at least 50% of the award funds are drawn down by the first anniversary date of the award. Payment requests should be electronic fund transfers rather than paper checks. And again, the historical review determination must be completed before any work can commence. Additionally, we expect that awardees can provide additional documentation and information, including project metrics and address level information when requested. We expect all organizations to be in good standing with the Department of Taxation and stay up to date on your charitable registration. What that means for organization is if you submit a request for payment and your organization is not in good standing, that means we cannot move forward with any request for payment or distribution of funds. We expect awardees to keep records of at least 3 years after the award closes. If you have a loan or a grant loan combo, that means you must keep records during the duration of the loan term. So what are some program expectations? You can expect that requests for payments are processed and distributed within 45 days of the approval from the comptroller's office. You can expect from our team that we will provide technical assistance related to the project, any future projects in your communities, sustainable community planning or designations, general revitalization efforts, and statewide best practices. We're here to advise on any eligible expenses. If you have any obstacles that take place while your project is active, please let us know and we might be able to approve a modification. We're here to help you, help your community. So please feel free to reach out for your regional project manager. So the fun stuff, request for payment. So we expect you to submit a request for payment using our online portal. Please make sure to read your grant agreement and make sure that you understand what is eligible and what is not eligible. Again, please refer to the awardee policy guide on our website for more information. In order for us to process a request for payment, you must be current on your last quarterly report. You must submit eligible supporting documentation and evidence. The MHT review must be completed and approved. If you have special conditions on your grant agreement, again, this is your opportunity to submit the site control with your request for payment. If you have a program, we expect you to submit site control using the application that the property owner and or the resident of the property filled out establishing site control. Please upload that with your requests. We cannot fund any activities outside of what is outlined on your award agreement, specifically Exhibit A. So what are some acceptable supporting documentation? We can receive invoices and receipts, cancel checks, proof of wire transfers, executed AIA contracts. If it's an acquisition, we're going to need a sales contract, and we're going to need a HUD-1 or some other type of settlement statement when the settlement is completed. If we are supporting operating expenses, please make sure to provide pay stubs, ledgers. If you are hiring a consultant to use these DHCD funds, we will need the contract as well. Some additional considerations: if the awardee is acting as a pass-through organization and there is a subrecipient, we expect you to keep a paper trail of the expenses, and we're going to need a copy of the canceled check to and from the awardee to the subrecipients. If you are requesting and are eligible for an advance, you must submit proof of an advance before another advance can be requested and approved. And we recommend that requests for payments are more than $3,000. Next slide. Lastly, if you're not already signed up to receive electronic funds transfers, please make sure to sign up via the comptroller's website. They will have all the documentation that you need in the forms that you need. You will need to provide bank verifications or a voided check. Make sure that your W-9 is up to date with the comptroller's office. If for some reason the W-9 changes while your award is active, please make sure to upload a copy to our project portal and let your regional project manager know as well. Please make sure to complete the full package to the comptroller's office. Please do not submit the electronic funds transfer request to our office because we are not the ones that distribute the funds. It is the comptroller's office. And I will pass it over to Sarah Jackson.
Thanks, Jessica. All right, I'm going to go over the next couple of slides. The first one, we're going to talk about disclosing conflicts of interest. You must disclose conflicts of interest or potential conflicts of interest. If you have any potential situations that might arise, reach out to your project managers and we'll be able to kind of discuss it. And if we need to take it up with potentially the ethics or anything like that, we can. Some examples would be businesses or properties owned by the board, where work is to be done, operating support, and things like that. Next slide. Cybersecurity. The awardee is responsible for any fraud and misappropriation of funds, and we recommend having protocols in place to prevent any of those issues. Next slide. Department signs and ceremonies. We love to celebrate our successes with you. So please remember to send us an invitation, whether it's a groundbreaking, a ribbon cutting, anything like that. We'd love the opportunity to be able to come out and support you. There is a link here where you're able to invite Secretary Day or other DHCD senior leadership to use that link. And if you need it, you can always ask your project managers. But it may also just be, able that your project manager or something like that is able to come to the event. Then the department may request to display a DHCD sign, even if maybe we're not able to be there or not. Next slide. And record retention. All records should be kept for any of our grants for 3 years after the close of the award. If you do receive a loan or GROAN, as we like to call it, a grant loan combination, those will need to be maintained for the duration of the loan plus those 3 additional years. So any other questions, just contact your project manager about those terms. And I'm going to pass it over to Maria to finish us out.
Okay, so awardee non-compliance. It is your responsibility as the awardee to ensure that you are complying with all of the requirements that are outlined in the award agreement. So this includes submitting your progress reports on time, which is super important because it helps us as project managers know what's going on and lets us know if there's any issues that we might need to bring to our assistant directors or directors. And if you're not communicating that with us, we don't know what's going on and we can't help you. You'll also need to make sure that you're providing evidence of your awards that are spent or your funds that are spent. And then there's an expectation that you will respond to our department initiated correspondences in a timely manner. And failure to meet these requirements puts your award at risk for default and eventual termination, and we might be forced to recapture the funds. And non-compliance and overall negative performance might impact your ability to receive awards in the future from our program and other programs that the department offers. So we hope that you will demonstrate good stewardship of our state funds. Next slide. So award management best practices. If you ever have any questions or any concerns, your best bet is always to first reach out to your regional manager. We're here to help you. We want to help you. At the time of your award execution, if there's any special conditions, you'll need to send those in. So certificate of good standing, any loan documents, stuff like that. And then prior to your first disbursement, your first RFP being submitted, are your budget requirements satisfied? Are your special conditions satisfied? It's really important that special conditions are reviewed when you get your award agreement and signed off on. And then the MHT determination, we've mentioned it before, but if you begin the work without getting your MHT determination completed, you run the risk of not getting reimbursed for the work. And this is really important for the MFIP award. So a lot of those, the work will get done and then we'll get requests after the fact to review the work. And sometimes we cannot honor those requests because the work's already been completed and it doesn't follow MHT guidelines. You also need to confirm the sustainable community and site control evidence for all the addresses associated with the project. And then prior to any future disbursements, if you have any advances, you need to ensure that the evidence is submitted before we can process any more. We'll review if you're up to date with your quarterly reports. Your budget requirements are all special conditions satisfied. And again, MHT, sustainable community, site control, we check all of those things every single time just to ensure that everything is up to date and ready to go. And finally, best practices continued. So consider setting up some sort of a process for collecting and submitting address-related scope information. And then for a facade improvement program, for example, your application, it would be really helpful if it includes the address, the scope of work, interior and exterior photos, confirming it's located within a sustainable community, and then ensuring that it is for the Maryland Facade Improvement Program in particular, that it is a commercial property. And then the photos are also really super important. We get a lot of requests submitted with no photos or photos that are very difficult to see. And it slows down the process because we then have to reach back out to you to ask for more photos. So if you include all of that stuff in your application up front, it helps when you submit for a reimbursement. And then it covers a lot of requirements all at once. Okay, next slide. So final monitoring and closeout. Once your project's completed, you've drawn down all your funds. you need to submit a final report, and it needs to be completed within 45 days of your project being completed or the funds being drawn down. If all of the funds are dispersed and the evidence of the advanced funds has been received, it's considered complete. And again, it's completed because the DHCD funding's been spent, not necessarily because the overarching project's been completed if it's a multi-phase project. And your final report is going to ask for a different information than just your regular quarterly reports. We're going to want updated photos, any updated outputs, any success indicators. And then we should be able to visit or monitor your project at some point over the lifetime. So as was mentioned earlier, if you have any groundbreakings, if you have any award ceremonies or anything like that that's associated with this award, we would like to be informed so we can do our best to be there. And then we will move forward with the final monitoring and the closeout once the final report has been approved. So once that's submitted and approved, we begin our final monitoring and we review everything, all the records. We'll try to come do a site visit or we'll do a phone interview. We will review all of the finances and then we will send out a closeout letter to let you know that the award has been officially closed out. And I think that's all I have. Is there another? So I will send it back over to Garland.
All right, fantastic. This is our project portal system. As mentioned, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jessica. All of the work that's done to manage your project is going to be done through the project portal system. We have a support team. Aisha is one of the staff that works with that support team. If you ever have any questions in terms of the portal, in terms of your reporting and all those things, your request for payment in the portal, you can always email nrsystemsupport.dhcd@maryland.gov, and they will get back with you within several hours. They're pretty good in terms of following up and answering your questions specifically to the portal. And so let's go to some questions, some Q&A. Lori, you asked, is the first quarterly report due this April or not until July? Your first quarterly report would not be due until after the award agreement is executed. And so typically we're already been working on award agreements and we've sent several to our attorneys for review and approval. And hopefully with maybe by the end of this month, beginning of March, a lot of you should start seeing your award agreements for execution. And so if your award is executed before April, then yes, but more than likely your first report is not going to be due until July 1. All right, so great question. Next question was, as a state university, we have had issues keeping track of grant payments to us. I put all the information, remit information on the request for reimbursement, but it seems that it doesn't always get coded on the payment. Any advice on how to avoid this in the future? I'm not sure what you guys would do on your end. I know on our end, within the project portal system, we're able to track the payments of, when they made, when it was submitted, when it was reviewed and approved. And so we can do award reports to let us know when funds have been dispersed on our end. And so if that would help you with your process a little bit more, you can definitely request a copy of that from your project manager. A couple things, and if anybody has questions, please feel free to put them in the box, but I do want to reiterate a couple points that were raised. One, invitation to events. We're always interested in coming out for events. May it be ribbon cuttings, groundbreakings, all of those particular things. As we already put the link in there for the secretary, if you'd like to have the secretary there, or maybe you would just deal with us, the project manager or the assistant director. Please get that information to us and we will try to get out, because usually we share that information with our media department and they send it out within the information that comes out from the department of various projects and events that take place. And so we want to make sure that we are bringing attention to the work that you're doing. Also, another important point that was raised was non-compliance. We're really taking a special focus on making sure that our awardees are compliant in terms of their awards, particularly with reporting. Please try to stay on top of your reports as much as you can. It does become a burden to try to go back to capture quarters of information. Please try in some way of, setting reminders for yourself to get that information in. It's all done through the project portal system. It's very user friendly. And so we'd like to ask that you please be as vigilant as you can with your reporting. Also, your use of funds. As was mentioned earlier, you have 2 fiscal years to spend the award. And so we try to encourage all awardees to spend at least half of the award by the first anniversary date. That kind of, shows us that you are making progress in dispersing the funds. A lot of times, what tends to happen is if we don't see movement in the first year and then we get to the second year and you're trying to hurry up and spend that money or you need a modification, sometimes if the state is facing a budget, we may have to draw back that money to use in another fiscal year. We don't want to draw back the money. We would prefer that you use the award. As a matter of fact, you were selected for the award because we saw that you were shovel ready, but we understand some things happen with projects. And so if you're having some of those challenges, make sure you're communicating very early with your project manager, but we want to strongly encourage you to use those funds within that 2 fiscal year time period. And site visits as well. One thing that we did not get to do this past year because we had an abundance of applications and we were trying to move the process very quickly, we did not go out on site visits like we normally do with applications. We go out, we meet with the applicant, we take a tour of the site and those different things. And we're going to hopefully try to get back to that this year. And so maybe there's opportunities for you to have your project manager come out to your site and we can work that out. And so make sure you're dialoguing with your project manager because we do want to get out to see as many projects as we can during the life cycle of the award. Right. Are there any other questions for us? Oh, okay, I see. All right, let's go. Who should I contact to help me get access to the project portal? It's nrsystemsupport.dhcd@maryland.gov. That's who you would contact. In case of partial funding, do we as recipients determine which part of the project we execute with the funds? You should be having dialogue with your project manager. If we've made a partial award, say you asked for $500,000, but we were only able to award you $250,000. You should have some dialogue with your project manager of what that $250,000 would be used for, and that would be identified specifically in your award agreement. So, that should come in dialogue with your project manager. Maybe we can only fund the acquisition, but not the rehab. That's something that we would have explained once we made that award. And so if you haven't talked to your project manager about it, please give them a call and y'all can have that discussion as we are in the agreement development phase. Ms. Hayes, you're going to break the rules and raise your hand, so I'm going to take your question. You're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Did I silence it? All right, it looks like you're off mute. Go right ahead.
Right. Question, is it possible that we can get a copy of your presentation today?
Yes, ma'am. The presentation, we're going to put it on the DHCD website under the State Revitalization Programs page. We normally place it there, as well as a recording of this webinar. And so if you give us several days, it should be available there, and we'll make sure that our project managers will follow up to let you know when it's available.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Can you clarify what's happening with FY27 awards? This year we did something different. We made some decisions not only for FY26, but potential recommendations for FY27. And so there are some awards that we have identified that we would like to fund for the next fiscal year. But with all budget approval, it has to be approved by the legislature. And so these are a list of recommendations that we have sent that are being reviewed by the legislation, and we are hoping will be included in the FY27 award budget. And so we're waiting to hear that. We have been getting questions from legislature members about, particular awards and wanting more information. And so we've been providing that. And we will know better in April if our FY27 recommendations will be approved. I know we sent something out, and I think it was last week or so, asking people to contact their local representatives about the FY27 recommendations and just stating your support for that. And so that's the current status of it, where we should know more about those recommendations by the end of the legislative session in April. Any other questions? All right, fantastic. We want to give you these last 30 minutes of your time, maybe to go remove some snow or do the things you need to do. Oh, we got one more question, Ms. Hayes. Ms. Hayes, did you have your hand up for a question?
No.
Oh, that
Okay.
was me, darling. Aisha.
Okay.
Hello. I just wanted
Go ahead,
to,
Aisha.
yes, I just wanted to answer Carolyn Anthony. She had a question about how she can get access to the NR support box. I looked at her account and her account is active. So I went ahead and reset her password and sent her an email. So she should see that soon.
All right, Carolyn.
And then also Brian wanted me to get some information out. Basically, if you have any questions or concerns, you can send your information to the NR support box. Please include your award ID and maybe a screenshot if you can to help us solve the issue quicker. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much all. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. If there are no other questions, if all hearts and minds are satisfied, I'd like to thank you for sitting in with us today. Again, if you have any other questions, please contact your project managers. They will get right back to you. And congratulations again on your FY26 award.
Thank you.